What's going on, football overseas? My name is Kevin from Blaugrana Zone, and I'm bringing you Jornada Cinco, match week 5 of La Liga predictions. Here we go. So first off, we've got Real Betis versus Real Sociedad. Real Betis tying 2-2 last week to Levante, and Sociedad coming off of that 1-2 loss to Real Madrid. Obviously, daylight robbery. So I think that Sociedad could come back with a good fight. Neither team has really been in form, but I'm gonna predict that Sociedad get it 2-1. I think Sociedad will win. Next up, we've got Girona versus Levante. Girona that just had a 1-1 tie, and Levante that also had a tie against Real Betis. I don't think either one of these teams is really poised to make much noise this year in La Liga. Levante, obviously, like 2 years ago, they were a top four contender, but since then it's been a very, very steep drop off. I don't see this game drawing much excitement or many goals. I see this being a 1-1 tie. Next up, we've got Real Madrid versus Espanyol. Real Madrid obviously coming off of just robbing Real Sociedad. And Espanyol last week beating Mallorca 3-2. Espanyol is obviously having a really good run, missing their goalkeeper, Joan Garcia. I'm going to say that, man, I want to say that Espanyol wins, just because I think that they've been, oh man, but it's really hard to say, because I think Real Madrid could get a ghost penalty. You know what I mean? They're not new to those. They had two of them last week. Yeah, that one's very hard. I might say Real Madrid win. That one's in the air still, honestly. So next up, we've got Deportivo Alaves versus Sevilla. Alaves coming off of a loss to Bilbao, and Sevilla coming off of a tie to Elche. I think in this match, I could see Alaves having a better fight. I'm gonna say Alaves win. Next up, Villarreal versus Osasuna. Villarreal last week had a 2-0 loss to Atletico Madrid, whereas Osasuna last week were having a much better time beating Rayo Vallecano 2-0. So for this match, I'm gonna give the edge to Osasuna. Yeah, I'm much more comfortable giving the edge to Osasuna. Next up, we've got Valencia versus Atletico Bilbao. Bilbao, obviously, I said just had a win last week, and Valencia took a very, very crazy beating from Barcelona 6-0. And for that reason, I'm going to give Bilbao the edge there. Bilbao will win that match. Next up, we've got Rayo Vallecano versus Celta Vigo. Rayo Vallecano, obviously, coming off of that loss I just mentioned to Osasuna, and Celta Vigo, having a draw against Girona, which I also mentioned earlier. And for that reason, I'm going to give the edge to Rayo Vallecano. I think that they're going to continue to be in form. Celta Vigo haven't been the same Celta of a couple years ago, where they were giving every team kind of a tough match. So I think Rayo is going to take that game. Next up, we've got Mallorca versus Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid obviously had their win last week. I think that might be their first win of the season because they kept tying or losing games. And then Mallorca, who is coming off of a loss against Espanyol. I think Atletico Madrid could continue their in-form run of 2 wins. I think Atletico Madrid take that game. Next up, we've got Real Oviedo versus Elche. Elche having that tie against Sevilla that I mentioned earlier, and Real Oviedo losing to Getafe 2-0. And for that reason, I'm going to give the edge to Elche. I think Elche can make much more noise in that match. And lastly, we've got Barcelona versus Getafe. Getafe, who I just mentioned, beat Real Oviedo last week, and Barcelona, who obviously gave a beat down last week, 6-0 beat down. I'm going to give the edge to Barcelona. Getafe have been historically a match that is very hard for us physically, and I think it's going to give our players a very big test, especially after this Champions League win that we had against Newcastle. I think our players are going to be in form, even our bench players. And for that reason, I'm going to give Barcelona the advantage. If you guys disagree or agree with me, let me know in the comments. Who do you think is coming out with 3 points? Who is going to be on top of the table at the end of this weekend? I'm going to say it's Barcelona because I'm hoping that Real Madrid drop points against Espanyol. Obviously, they're not a top tier team, but I think that they can give them a fight. If last week they could, possibly almost lose to Sociedad, if not for the purchased penalties. I think that Espanyol could definitely make a splash in that game. I'm hoping Barcelona top the La Liga table. Let me know what you would think in those comments. If you want to see more of my content, you can catch me at Blaugrana Zone. It'll be in the description. And I'll see you next time. Football Overseas. Thank you so much.